Hey everyone, let's jump right into something that I think is on a lot of our minds: building a sustainable, high performing academic system from the ground up. Today, we're exploring the architecture of academic well being, drawing straight from the brilliant Be Well, Learn Well framework. If you've ever felt like you're just grinding your gears and burning out, well, you're in the right place. We are going to completely rethink this whole approach to learning. So let's kick things off by busting a really deeply ingrained and frankly super toxic myth. You know the one, the idea that any time spent resting is basically time stolen from studying. A lot of students treat study and self-care like a zero-sum game, right? Like if you're taking time to care for yourself, you're somehow dropping the ball on your academics. But honestly, the research paints a totally different picture. And that brings us to the core premise of the Be Well, Learn Well framework. It argues that your physical and emotional well-being are absolutely not separate from your academic performance. In fact, they are the fundamental variables that literally determine your cognitive capacity. So, neglecting your health? It doesn't actually buy you more study time. It actively reduces your ability to focus, concentrate, and solve the exact problems you're stressing over. To tackle this, here is our blueprint for today. We're breaking this massive topic down into 5 manageable pieces: the zero-sum study trap, finding your intrinsic drive, building social scaffolding for your brain, using routine as a performance tool, and finally, unleashing your strategic creativity. Let's start right at the foundation with Section 1, the zero-sum study trap and rethinking your cognitive capacity. Right out of the gate, we kind of have to admit a hard truth. It is really difficult to accept when your own study habits are the actual source of your distress. We need to take a clinical look at how we operate and embrace this new equation: health equals cognitive capacity. You just cannot separate your emotional well-being from your academic output. I mean, think about it. If the machine is broken, mashing the gas pedal harder isn't going to help, right? It's just not going to run efficiently. Which leads us to Section 2, finding your intrinsic drive to power that academic engine. If you want to sustain intense effort over a long, grueling semester, we've got to totally shift how you motivate yourself. Relying on extrinsic motivation, like, the sheer blind panic of getting a bad grade, is just not a sustainable system. It's eventually going to burn you out. What actually works long-term is intrinsic motivation, studying because the subject actually means something to you personally. So, how do you find that drive? Well, Hughes suggests using what's called the MPS process. That stands for meaning, pleasure, and strengths. You've got to ask yourself, what do you genuinely care about? What activities make you totally lose track of time? And what are you naturally just really good at? By aligning your habits and your assignment choices right at the intersection of those 3 things, you can massively boost both the quality of your learning and your mental health. All right, let's move to Section 3, social scaffolding for your brain, or how to build structural support against stress. This is a huge one because humans are profoundly social animals. Your brain literally requires interaction to function at its absolute peak. It is so common for stressed out students to just lock themselves away in a library dungeon, right? But here is the kicker. Social isolation measurably reduces your ability to remember and focus. Hiding away doesn't make you a better student. It is actively harming your cognitive function. But hey, the good news is you don't need to suddenly forge these perfect, deep, lifelong friendships to fix this immediately. You just need what we call social scaffolding. Even basic active participation, like speaking up in classroom discussions, helps check your understanding. And then there's what the text calls friendships of convenience. This is just grabbing a quick coffee with a classmate or joining a low-stakes campus society. It gives your brain the gentle social input it desperately needs to regulate stress. You're basically tricking your nervous system into relaxing over a latte. Okay, moving on to Section 4, routine as a performance tool. Let's engineer your daily momentum. So, a really common trap is falling into an unplanned, unstructured routine purely out of exhaustion. But as Hughes points out, humans actually kind of suck at doing nothing. Having an unplanned timetable just strips away your structure, which drags you straight into lethargy and a really low mood. On the flip side, planning your routine in advance acts as an incredible performance tool. It gives you a reason to get out of bed with a sense of purpose, making sure you balance that deep study time with actual, genuine recovery. And that brings us to the roof of our academic architecture, Section 5, unleashing your strategic creativity to break the anxiety loop. This is all about what to do when you hit those inevitable mental blocks without spiraling into anxiety. When you hit a wall, trying to just force it is literally the worst thing you can do. Instead, try these cognitive strategies. First, step away.
Let the problem incubate by letting it drift to the back of your mind. Believe it or not, your unconscious mind processes information way faster than your conscious brain. Combine that with a mild distraction, like tidying your desk or going for a quick walk. This low-effort stuff creates the mental space needed for divergent thinking, letting your brain naturally bubble up fresh ideas.
Part of this strategic creativity also involves tackling our mindsets. Hughes points out that perfectionism is the enemy of ambition. It just paralyzes you. Perfectionism stops you from taking the necessary, sometimes messy risks that you absolutely need for higher level learning and true academic growth. Instead, you really want to aim to be perfectly imperfect. Start viewing your mistakes not as these massive failures, but as essential building blocks for your future progress. Honestly, mastering these soft skills, knowing exactly when to step away, building your social scaffolding, ditching perfectionism, that's what separates a truly resilient, high-performing student from someone who's just spinning their wheels without a sustainable system. So I really want you to take a second and reflect on your own academic architecture right now. Where is your current routine failing you? And which of these adjustments can you actually implement this week? I highly recommend checking out the original text of Be Well, Learn Well to dive into the full depth of these frameworks for yourself. But for now, ask yourself, are you ready to stop just grinding and start actually learning well? What is that first step going to look like for you today?